Hey everybody, welcome to Rush Hour tonight. I'm Chris Rosa, Giants Carb Crush, and I'm here along with my usual compadre, Michael the Truth Stewart. Mike, we're on a streak here, man. We've been
Oh,
like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, so good to see you. Good to
you
see everybody else. Yeah, thanks, man. Hope everybody will be filtering in soon. And so, Mike, neither one of us were on the show on Monday. Real quick, I know they did the recap, but real quick, what's your thoughts on the game from Sunday against the Saints?
it was pretty bad. Pretty
Yeah,
bad on both sides of the ball. Um, you know, I saw all the comments on Twitter and how they talked about, not running the ball enough. And when you look at the stat line, and then when you read and hear Dable's comments he had in his press conference, kind of crazy. Barkley only had 31 touches total, and he was out. They said someone had quoted that he was at a lot of third down situations. So they kind of puzzling why you have your best offensive weapon none on the field on a third down situation. So it was not a good performance on both sides, like I said, and that was due. The Giants were due to have a letdown. We were just hoping they can get by the Saints uh, and face the Eagles. They have riding a 4 game winning streak.
yeah, you're right, Mike. That was a head scratcher when you saw Barkley not in on a few third downs. You thought they'd stick to the running game, but you know what? They couldn't even run the ball. It was so bad. The interior offensive line. Schmitz probably had one of his worst games of the season. Pugh, give him a lot of heart, but he's getting pushed around. But anyway, we'll get into that as we move along with the show. So we're moving on to the Eagles, Mike. We got 3 games left. Hey, Darius, welcome to the show. Thanks for stopping in. Mike, we got 3 games left where we're inching towards the finish line. Unfortunately, and happy holidays to everybody, but unfortunately, Monday's Christmas, and the Giants will be playing at 4:30. So that's, you know, I don't think that's a good thing in Philly at the Link on Christmas. But we all knew that was coming when we saw the schedule. We thought maybe things would be a little tighter with the team and a little better, but unfortunately it's not. So we're going to rough through it on Christmas Day, those of you celebrating Christmas. So we all got to hang in there. But, Mike, as we move forward, I'm going to go over just a brief injury report for today. And just keep in mind, everybody, tomorrow the injury report will actually come out, the status. Because the Giants play Monday, it's backed up one day, which usually would be a Wednesday. So we'll blow through this real quick. Evan Neal still battling the ankle. Dexter Lawrence still dealing with the hamstring. But I would think, Dexter would probably play because he played last week. Randy Bullock, the kicker, he's got the hamstring. We all know, hurt the hamstring in the game last week. And kudos to Olszewski and Gilliam for doing a nice job on the field goal at least. You
Yeah.
almost thought, oh, maybe this is a good sign, but evidently it didn't mean much. Real quick, and the Giants signed Cade York to the active roster. Cade York was the 4th-round pick of the Browns. Went through a so-so preseason, but the Giants have him on the roster for this week, so he'll be kicking. Ashawn Robertson, hamstring. Nunez Roaches, leg injury, not quite specifying, could be a leg injury as well. And Gary Brightwell and Matt Pert. I'm sure we're all happy to hear that Matt Pert's coming back. How do we ever manage to get this far without him? But they're coming back off of the injured list, so they'll be probably added soon. They practice, so added soon to the active roster. So that's really what we're looking at there on the injuries. But once again, the injury report will come out tomorrow. And as we move along, we'll get inside the numbers. We'll briefly go over defense, offensive numbers for the Giants and Eagles, and you'll see the big difference between both these teams. However, there's a couple interesting stats that you wouldn't expect the Eagles to have a 10-4 record, but yet some of the stats are kind of eye-opening. But anyway, go ahead,
Yeah.
Mike. You want to kick off the defense?
Yeah, yeah. So let's start with a little individual leaders on the Eagles. They got Reed Blankenship, the safety, leading the team in tackles with 90. And usually, we always discuss this, that usually when your safety does, that means you're kind of not doing a good job against the run, usually. But as we're going to see here, it's kind of like a contradiction. And I'll go over those numbers and we'll talk about it. We have in sacks, we have Riddick is leading them with 11, and I think he led them last year too in sacks. And if you're a Giants fan, guys, even the last 2 years, you know that he's been a nightmare for the Giants
Yeah.
when it comes to that department. And
Even
especially,
with the Cardinals, Mike, even when he was with the Cardinals, he wrecked
yeah,
us that one game. If you remember, he had like 8 sacks or whatever
I
stupid it
do.
was.
I do
Yeah.
remember that. I think Evan Neal's happy he's not playing this week because he's been like the number one victim. And then you got for interceptions again, Reed Blankenship and Darius Slay with 2 apiece. So they kind of like spreading the wealth around there. And then we get to the points allowed. This is something you alluded to. The Giants and the Eagles are pretty close. The Giants have actually given up less points per game they've allowed than the Eagles. Giants 24.1, Eagles 24.4. Um, but when Chris goes over the offense, you'll see why one team has a 10-4 record and we have a 5-9 record. Total yards allowed per game, the Giants, again, and Eagles are pretty close. Giants ranked 24, Eagles are ranked 22. Giants 357, Eagles 350. Very close. Very close. And you never
Yeah.
think that. And we have rushing yards allowed per game, and this is where we talked about Blankenship leading the team in tackles, which contradicts. The Eagles are ranked 7th. They allow only 93 yards on the ground, where the Giants are ranked 29th, allowing 132, which is actually went down a little bit. They were at 30 or 31. So it's going to be a tall order for the Giants to run the ball against this Eagles defense. And then we have passing yards. And actually, the Giants are doing better than the Eagles. Giants are ranked 19, Eagles 28. Giants are 225, Eagles are 255. Okay, third down conversions allowed. Giants are ranked 8th. Who would have thought that? They only allowed 36% on third down conversions. And then the Eagles are at 48%, ranked 32. And I don't think anybody would have thought that. Red zone percentage on TDs allowed. Giants are ranked 24th, Eagles 28, 61, 67 respectively. Takeaways, Giants lead that as well. Giants have 22 takeaways, ranked 9th, or tied for 9th actually. And you have the Eagles at 15, tied for 28th. Then you have our turnover differential. Giants are +6, Eagles -6. Now, Chris, when I saw that, I was kind of shocked.
This is the stat I was thinking about as well. But go ahead, Mike.
Okay. And then lastly, we have sacks. And this is kind of where the Eagles separate themselves. They have 39 sacks, the Giants 24. And the way the Giants' offensive line's been playing, Eagles got the Giants 2 games in the last 3. You're going to see that stat go up immensely for the Eagles.
Yeah. Mike, going back to the turnover differential, I mean, how crazy is that? A 5-9 team has +6, right?
Yeah.
And then you have a 10-4 team at -6. I mean, that's
The misprint. I thought that was a
really
misprint.
strange.
Yeah, I really did. But it's
So,
not.
so when oh, go ahead.
No, I just said it's not a misprint.
The only when I see that, I think about, well, the Giants don't score points, right? So they can't. That +6 is great, but they don't put enough points on the board. So those games they probably should be winning because they could barely get 13 points on the board. Yet the Eagles, who do put up points, they can overcome these turnovers. That's the only logic, really.
I think you nailed it, Chris. I think that's exactly what it is. Their offense does cover up a lot of deficiencies.
Yeah, and I hear you, Darius. We hate that we play against a pissed off Eagle. Phil, yeah, this is a get right game on Christmas Day.
We'll get into that, Darius.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, hold that thought. What else you want to add, Mike, on the defense with these stats? Anything you want to say about the way the Eagles played on just looking at the stats and the way the Eagles played on Sunday? I almost feel like the Eagles, they were running such a high on defense early in the year. You do see some vulnerable, spots in that Eagle defense, especially a little bit in the secondary.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with Darius Slay, who may be out, who's injured. Hey, Jesse, thanks for stopping by tonight.
Yeah, and just think about this. Look, they added Patricia. Is that who it was?
Yes, Matt Patricia, right.
Matt Patricia added him on and kind of took the first year defensive coordinator. I forgot his name. Kind of like made him like almost be like babysit him and let Patricia take over the calling. Because
right.
I think they see an issue in their defense. Like they lost 3 games in a row. And although that's really bad for the Giants, I think, and I'll explain more later on that. But what I'm seeing is that they're giving up bigger plays. And they played better teams, right? They played the 49ers,
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys, and
Mm-hmm.
Seattle had they came out the second half. They played really well. They really did, Seattle. And perhaps it was because of the Eagles not playing well on defense, but they really did. They made big plays. They went vertical. And you don't see the Eagles do that a lot, especially not last year. So, are they vulnerable? Yes, they're vulnerable. But you got to execute on the offensive side to make that vulnerable. And that's one thing the
Yeah.
Giants might have an issue with.
Yeah, and the one thing you see with those corners, with Darius Slay possibly out, and Bradbury's not the same player. He's more of a zone than a man-to-man. If the Giants had some semblance of some pass blocking, DeVito could process a little faster and hit some of these, open up the passing game downfield. But that's been the problem. So we can't even say that they're going to do that because they haven't been able to. And I guess maybe that's handcuffing Kafka too with the game with calling the game. But
Probably,
this
yeah,
is
I
just
agree.
So yeah, that's where we're at there. So we'll see how that defense holds up. But once again, Darius Slay may be out, and Bradbury's having a rough time. What's interesting, Mike, with the defense of the Eagles is that last year they went through this little phase of the defense giving up a lot of points or a lot of yards, and then they went off and no pass rush in the middle. Then they got Namda Suh. Off the couch, literally, and he made a difference. So it seems like the Eagles go through these phases at late in the season.
Yeah, and don't forget Linville Joseph, too, they got.
They did, you're right. Absolutely, yeah.
Another run stuffer.
Right. Yeah, they were having. I think we watched the Washington game last year when it was Washington-Philly on Monday night, and they got shredded. The Washington team just shredded the Eagles on Monday night, and then the next day they signed Sue, and then they brought Linval Joseph in on a minimum deal. So, give the Eagles credit, man. When things aren't going right, they don't sit tight.
Wow.
They make a move. So,
That's
we can hate them as much as we want, but they're proactive. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, Mike, we'll move over to the offense. I mean, this is pretty much no surprise for everybody. We go over these numbers. But Jalen Hurts, he's completing 65.7% of his passes, throwing for 3,335 this year yards, 19 touchdowns, 19 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. The rushing game, DeAndre Swift, 196 carries, 896 yards on the season, 4 touchdowns. He's 5th in the league in rushing at 896, so he's gonna reach 1,000. Yep. 4.6 on the ground per carry, which is really good. Receiving, so you're going to see with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith similar numbers. I mean, they're not too far off, but boy, Hurts really utilizes both guys, especially when A.J. Brown's bracketed and they're trying to shut him down a little bit. But A.J. Brown, 95 receptions for 1,314 yards. Already has over 1,000, 13.8 yards a catch, 7 touchdowns. Devontae Smith, 74 receptions for 957, 12.9 yards per catch, and 6 touchdowns. So there's a look at some of the offensive leaders. Just a note, too, on the offensive line, Landon Dickerson, this was announced today. He's going to have, and he's a Pro Bowl guard, he's having thumb surgery, so he's going to be out a couple games. He won't be available on Sunday, so listen, anything that could help the Giants, he'll be out. We'll see if the Giants could take advantage of the backup in that spot. But points per game, okay, right off the bat, Giants are at 31 in the league, 13.5 averaging. Eagles at 7 at 25.6. So when we talked about the turnover differential, that's the big problem right there when you look at that. Look at the points per game. A team like the Eagles, they can be -6 because they're scoring 25, almost 26 points a game. The Giants need every turnover they can get because they can't even score 14 points. So I think that's obviously the big reason. Because at +6, Mike, with an average offense, even a little bit above average, this team should be 9-5.
Yep.
Somewhere in that range. It's just a shame.
Really is.
Yep. Total yards per game. Giants at 262. That's 31st in the league. Eagles at 356. That's 9th. Rushing yards per game. The Giants at 111 per game. That's 15th. Eagles at 128. That puts them at 8. Rushing yards per attempt, the Giants at 4.1, that's 18th in the league. Eagles 4.3, so kind of close there. They're at 13th in the league. Passing yards per game, this is a big difference. Giants at 151, that's 32nd, dead last. Eagles at 228. That puts them at 16th in the league. Third down conversion, terrible for the Giants at 29%. That puts them at 31st. Eagles, no surprise with the push up the middle there at 48%. They're third in the NFL. Sacks allowed. Now, there was a stat this week that DeVito in 5 starts is given up been sacked 35 times. Now some of those are on him, but that's 7 sacks a game. He's on average being sacked.
Yep.
Terrible. I don't want to blame the offensive line 100%. Some of those are on DeVito for holding on to the ball, but nonetheless, you're looking at this game probably. I mean, what, 5 sacks if they're lucky, maybe 4. It's amazing. The Packer game they were able to do well with no sacks.
You mean the whole game 5 sacks or just the first half?
No. What I'm saying? I'll be lucky for the game to get 5 sacks. Yeah. Maybe the first half. Yeah, maybe, Mike. Maybe. We might be looking at 10. Who knows?
You might see double figures here, double digits.
Yeah.
You might see double digits. And we'll let's finish up the offense. We'll get into that.
Yeah. Okay. So just finishing up a couple other stats. Red zone TDs. Giants are they're at 30th in the league. They convert 44% of the time in the red zone. Eagles 61% in the red zone. That's at 9. And then turnovers. The Giants are 16 turnovers in the league. They're tied for 24th, and that's great. But yet they don't score points, and that's why they have this losing record. But Eagles 21 turnovers for the season. That ties them for 12th, and they have a 10-4 record, even though they've given up the ball 21 times.
And you just said third down. You just said red zone conversion.
Yeah.
Right. And that 61%. That's how you alleviate lack of getting turnovers for your defense.
That's right, and touchdowns only. So
that's right.
Yeah, but when you look at the offense, Mike, of the Giants, let me throw, and we'll swing. You know what? We'll swing right to the game plan. We'll just go right to it. But Mike, looking at the offense, since we're talking about it, knowing that you have a hard time with running on the Eagles, they have this run blitz that the Giants just can't stop. It seems like every team just stacks the box, run blitz. DeVito beat me, and then that doesn't happen either. But if you're the Giants, Mike, are you looking at more of the checkdowns, the short game, almost like it's as good as a run? The Giants don't do a lot of screens, but in this game, a little more screens, a little more short stuff. I just feel like this running game between the 2 guards and the center just aren't playing well. How would you look at this offense going into the Eagles? What would you want to do?
Well, listen, it's really not rocket science. When you have a fierce pass rushing team, the best way to slow them down is what you just mentioned. You said that one word was screens. Another one, get your tight end involved with little seam pad, a little quick in. I don't know what you call that route.
Almost like a crossing route, some more crossers.
Real quick.
Some of these picks, yeah.
Little curl-ins, just
right.
make them, get the ball out of DeVito's hands as quickly as possible. Because if he hesitates a little, the Eagles will be feasting. They will be. If I was a defense coordinator for the Eagles, I would load that box and I will terrorize and I will go after DeVito and make him see what football's all about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look what the Saints did to him. Look what the Saints did to him. If the Eagles, if they pin their ears back, which I think they're going to do, losing 3 games in a row, they're going to be angry. They're going to take it out on the Giants and DeVito. It's not going to be pretty. You know what I told you off air, what I think might happen. I think he may get injured and get forced out of the game. But being the Giants, if I was the Giants, you just talked about the offensive game plan. You got to do quick passes. You got to get Barkley involved in the passing game.
And move them around, right, Mike? Move them around. Don't let them sit in that pocket. Roll them out. Have some plays, moving them around a little bit. And I think using Darren Waller in this game. This should be I don't want to say a coming out party, but get him on a linebacker, and even if they put him in tight, pre-snap and then move him out, I mean, mismatches, right? I mean, this is kind of what they have to do in this game is look for the mismatches because I don't think straight up they're going to be able to run the ball on the Eagles, especially with the interior line.
Yeah, put him on the outside too, Waller. Why not? Put him outside.
Yep.
Look, they're not getting a lot out of like Slayton. They're not getting a lot out of him. So
Hmm.
why not use a double tight end more? Let's
Yeah.
use a double tight end more.
Yeah.
They're both really your wide receiver
Yep.
almost going outside.
Right. And Mike, when you look at that Saints game, you liked what you saw in that first drive with Barkley when they moved him in motion, and then he caught that pass that kind of stuck to his chest. That was a hell of a catch, nice throw. But I expected to see more of that with Barkley, moving him into the slot, get him in motion more, get him on the mismatch. Let's see if they're in zone, man to man. But it seemed like Kafka just does a little taste of it, scripted these first 15 plays, and then it just goes away. It just goes away. I mean, we didn't like Shermer as a head coach. He's a good offensive coordinator. But the one thing Shermer did was he utilized Barkley on those mismatches, got him in space, and did a phenomenal job with Barkley. And that's what we've been waiting to see, that come back, and we haven't seen it with Kafka.
Totally agree.
Shermer, yeah, and that Giants offensive line was just as bad, or maybe even a little worse.
No, absolutely. They had no pros, did they? On that
no, not at all.
Thomas. We have Thomas. Thomas has been in anyone they had back then.
Yeah.
By far. But couldn't agree with you more. Barkley was utilized to perfection. He was dominant his rookie year. And I don't see the Giants doing that with him anymore in the passing game. Very limited.
Yeah, so that's what we're looking on offense. Mike, stupid question. I don't even know why I'm thinking of this. Hey, real cold. Good job. Thanks for stopping by. Mike, do you want the ball first, or you want to if you want to we'll get to that. Do you want the ball first, or do you want to kick off the coin toss on Monday?
I didn't think about it, Chris. So let me think about this. The Giants' strong part of their game is their defense. And I think if you want to make a statement, say you hear the play, I think if you win the coin toss, let them have the ball. I know it's a gamble. But if your defense is your best part of this team, they need to make a statement.
Yeah.
Get the offensive going.
Yeah.
That's what I think. What do you think?
The defense is definitely better than the offense. Maybe you're right, because I feel like it lets the air out of the sails. We get the offense gets the ball, and then we're punting already. I almost feel like this Eagles offense isn't playing up to speed what they're used to. So maybe you play a game of field position if you can get them in a 3 and out, and you get that ball back at maybe at the 35. I don't know, Mike. I'm kind of up in the air on both, but I will say you got a great point. The offense, I'd rather have the defense on the field, I think, than the offense starting. If I had a choice, maybe you're right.
Not the offense. Let the defense set the tone.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I agree with you. You make a good point. I just wish the Giants could have one drive where they could score on that first drive, and it's wishful thinking. Part of me wants them to get the ball first because you just hope that they can just get that one drive and put 7 on the board, but I got to be realistic. Probably it won't happen, so maybe you are right. Cole, you make a great point. Kafka's play calling is head scratching and very boring and ridiculous. And I'm so sick of being a Giants fan, complaining about the offensive line that, the reason why they don't do this, and I'm guilty of it too. I say it all the time. But you have to scheme it better, right? Kafka has to scheme it. Like we said before, roll him out, roll DeVito out, get Barkley in space, use Wandell on the crossers. Get Hyatt on some crossers, set the picks. Hey, they can't call a pick on every play. Picks happen all the time. But, they got to be more creative. It really is predictable and boring. It's, hey, we got 3 games left. Who the hell cares at this point? Just go with it. Throw everything at them.
Yeah, and when you have a team like the Eagles who are they're very aggressive. They're pursuit conscious. They go after you. Misdirections. I love that. I loved it 2 weeks ago when we played who did we play 2 weeks ago? The Packers. And we had
Packers,
Robinson with a nice couple of plays, the jet sweep. I like that one. I didn't see that last week, unless I missed something. I didn't see it from Robinson at all.
It really is, Mike. It's a head scratcher. Do they just script the first 15 plays and they do this, do that, and it's just? I know it really is unimaginative and just. scheme it right. I mean, there's teams out there with bad offensive lines, and they find a way to get points, and the Giants unfortunately don't. I know we have a third-string quarterback, but you see a guy like Jake Browning with the Bengals, right? He's basically off the street. He was on a practice squad, and the guy's able to function with the Bengals. Now, I know he's got receivers and all that. That helps. But, we should not be in the 2024 era of NFL football scoring 13.5 points a game no matter who your quarterback or your offensive line is. The penalties alone should allow you to get into the red zone. I mean, you should be able to do more than 13.5. So,
I agree.
yeah. So, all right, Mike, so you want to take the ball first. So anything else in terms of I want to say
guys to give up the ball.
Right. Oh, you want to go on defense, right? I'm sorry. Yeah, right. You want the defense to get on the field first, right? And that's kind of where I'm torn a little bit, but I hear your point. Let me ask you with Hyatt. Disappointed that I know Hyatt had a bad drop last week, but I'm surprised they haven't taken more shots on down the field with Hyatt, just in the fact of his speed. And even if there's a safety up high trying to get that flag, drawing more of a flag. I feel like these other teams, they take their shots and they're getting flags. And I feel like Hyatt, just the fact with his speed, will probably get a few pass interference calls. I feel like more shots, And I like they did take a shot the first play, I think it was, but I feel like then they kind of pull back on it.
I totally agree. I mean, you got this kid, third round, and actually he's not a third round talent. We all know that. And 3 games left. Let's see what he has. Get the ball downfield when you have the opportunity. Like you said, you might get lucky and you might get an interference. But you got to give the kid an opportunity. Get the ball to him, just like get the ball to Robinson. Slayton is to me. Slayton is old news. I mean, I don't think they should bring him back next year. I think we've seen the best of Slayton. We've seen that's come and gone. I don't think we need to look at it anymore. We don't need to see any more of him. I'd rather have Waller out there being in a wide position spot and move him around, then put Slayton out there and have him just whatever he does.
Yeah, it is frustrating with the drops. He had a big drop. It seems like he does have these big drops. What will probably happen, Mike, in my opinion, is because he's under contract. They could cut him, but I think going into training camp, he'll fight for a job, and they'll just see where the chips fall, and that's because they need the bodies. But, yeah, no, I know. It is frustrating with Slayton. Darius.
Dead. I think his dead money is very low.
Yep.
The contract was made by Shane. So,
mm-hmm.
What does Darius have to say?
Yeah, Darius. Go ahead, Mike. You want to read it?
No, he's saying that Kappa in last year and Kappa this year, 2 different people.
Mm-hmm.
And will Kappa 24 and not repeat this crappy season? Well, that's the thing we always talk about, even on Monday crew. Is he going to be here next year? What do you think? I don't know. Will he be here? So,
I think he will be here because of the circumstances with the offensive line, with the quarterback situation. I feel like his defense will be, they're going to see it as, he's been hamstrung a bit, and I get it, but that's just, I think he'll be back. Wink's a whole nother story because I feel like when there's smoke, there's fire, where there was a lot of that talk, too much of it, that situation. But what do you think about Kafka, Mike? Do you think he's back?
I don't know. I don't know. It might get to the point where it might be a mutual thing where he might act to I don't know what kind of contract he has. Do you know the contract? Is he a year-by-year guy? I have no clue.
I don't know. I believe he is still under contract, but I don't know if that's just for one more year or 2, because I would think it's like a 3-year deal maybe, so next year would be a 3rd year. So I don't think it's 2, but we were all worried that this year we had so much optimism that, hey, we're going to lose Kafka. Right. I don't think we have to worry about that.
So I don't know. Like you said, he may come back, or they may have a mutual agreement where they just shake hands and part ways, and Dable has to go get somebody else, and maybe he'll have more involvement in the offensive calling the next time he brings someone in. So it all depends.
Yeah, Cold makes a point. I don't have much faith in Kafka. His job in OC is to call the game to his quarterback strengths, and he doesn't do that. Cole, that's what we just said before. Exactly. You want him to utilize what he's working with, and it doesn't seem like the imagination, the creativity, and maybe there's so much he can't do, but you expect more. There's teams out there that are doing more with with less, with just as much as the Giants have, and they seem to be able to score 20 points and put points up, and function. But yeah, this offense is just we see glimpses, and I know DeVito's done some nice things, but it's just it's kind of the same old story no matter who's in a quarterback this year.
I think.
All right, Mike. Yeah.
Well, no, I think DeVito. We saw progression each week. When he had that 3-game winning streak, we saw the progression.
Yeah.
Last week, it kind of was a couple steps back, and now he's going to be facing the Eagles team. That's going to be, I think the game is going to speed up on him in this game. I think he's going to see a faster team game, and I could force him into mistakes with DeVito. He's not going to see a defense like this, or he hasn't seen a defense like this thus far. He hasn't. And
coming off a. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go, Mike. I was just saying, coming off a 3-game losing streak too. The Eagles.
They're going to be upset, to say the least. Unless you've experienced that speed from another team, you don't know it. You don't. And unfortunately, if it does happen, he's going to have to weather through it, and hopefully he doesn't get hurt. I did make a statement in Twitter that I think you might see DeVito get hurt in this game. I don't know if it'll be serious, but enough where he might have to leave the game. I think they're going to come after him. I really do.
Yeah. Well, when you have a Jalen Carter, you have a Sweat, you have Graham who's still out there, Cox is still playing, and then the creativeness on defense. I know, the defensive coordinator's new and Patricia's involved, but they're going to do stuff to confuse him, right? He's an undrafted free agent. They're going to confuse him just like, Belichick tried to, and I just don't think. See, difference is the against Belichick and some of his own defense. Maybe not Washington because he did get sacked 8 times. He had some time. I don't know how much time he's going to have to process what he sees once the snap, happens. He's going to have limited time to process and figure things out, and they're going to be on him. And
no, you're right. I'm agreeing with you. You're right. Yeah, he won't. There's a good chance in 50% of his passing plays, he won't get to his second or third progressions. He'll have to hopefully, find that first guy and get the ball to him or get out of there.
Yeah,
he cannot stay in that pocket too long because it's not gonna end well. It will not end well.
Yeah, I know we hate checkdowns, but this is going to be a game where I think there may be a lot of checkdowns since they're not going to be able to run the ball as well. They're gonna be looking to as good as a run, throw those short passes like we were saying before, and just maybe 3-step and then get rid of the ball type stuff. And Kafka's got to come up with a game plan to let these guys, the short game, utilize the short game. Good call, Cole. You just said, and we're going to get into that because I have a couple names for you. So, hold that thought. So, absolutely. Colt said, all I want is for Christmas a new online coach. Well, Colt, you're not going to get one this Christmas, but, over the season will be over. We'll have one, hopefully, working towards next Christmas with somebody that's by that time comfortable and we're running real well on the offensive line. But Mike, that brings me up to the run blocking and pass blocking. Last week, and I love Pugh's attitude. I love the fact he want to come to the Giants, but man, he just doesn't have the strength. You see him get pushed around. Schmitz had a not so good of a game. Glowinski was in there a little bit, not really. It was mostly Pugh, and then Bretterson's getting pushed around. That interior line, man, it's like a sieve, right, Mike? They're just and especially in the run blocking. You run blitz the Giants. Go ahead, DeVito beat us. Just run, just blitz them on the run blitz.
Absolutely. I definitely can see. I can see the Eagles 50% of the time blitzing with somebody coming at him, and it's up to the Giants to pick it up. And usually they don't. And when they do, they can't block it anyway. They can't block them anyway. So. This is going to be a fierce game. I expect to see a lot of cheap shots after the play, a lot of pushing, a lot of shoving. Typical Eagle-Giant game. The Eagles are the bullies, right? They are. They've been the bullies of us for almost a decade, especially in Philadelphia, right? We haven't won there since 2013, guys. And Chris brought up a great point. And the only game we won in Philadelphia 10 years ago was 15-7. We couldn't even get a touchdown. We had 5 field goals.
Yep.
So I mean, this is going to be a cluster. It's going to be it's not going to be good. I mean, I know you got to play. I know the Giants will come out and play with heart, play with toughness, but there's always someone tougher than you. And right now, the Eagles are the toughest guys on the block. They are.
Yeah. The I I'm hoping that the first quarter goes well and the Giants could at least hang. And the reason I say that is you have the holiday week. They had a Monday night game. They're busy running around with family stuff. I'm thinking out of the box here. We're playing the Giants, and it's like they almost take them for granted. So maybe the Giants, for some weird reason, could get a little bit of a jump on them. It's a Monday game. It's Christmas. Yeah, it really sucks that they're playing on Christmas, but maybe that plays a little bit to the Giants' advantage. I'm trying to find any semblance of hope that the Eagles are just passing off the Giants as an easy win, and maybe the Giants could at least hang it with them for a quarter or two.
Let me put it this way, and you're probably going to come crazy with this. If the Giants beat the Eagles this Sunday, it would be greater in terms of like the odds. It'll be greater than when they beat the Patriots to keep the Patriots from being 18-0. It would be
really.
It would top that. It would.
You think?
Yeah, because when
wow.
I remember when the Giants played the Patriots. If you remember, they played them, I think, one of the last couple of games of the season that year.
The last game, yes. Last game of the season.
And they played really well. The Patriots had to come back and had to win that game. So that gave the Giants confidence. Even Strahan commented that in an article. That was important, that game. That it showed that they can play with them. Nobody expects the Giants to do anything this Sunday. If they are, I want to hear from you guys. If you think the Giants could win this game, I want to hear from you. So that's what I think. I think if the Giants win this game, it'll be more of an achievement than them beating the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
A Super Bowl or the last game of the season?
No, that's Super Bowl when they beat
the Super Bowl. Okay, right.
When they were going for 18-0 and the Giants beating 14-7.
Okay.
If they beat them here, whether it's a field goal or whatever.
Wow, that was a Super Bowl though, Mike. Really?
I know. That's what I'm saying. You think I'm crazy? I expected the Giants to win that game. I really had confidence.
Yeah.
They were going to win that game.
Juan says no way. We'll have to see. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Juan says no way. We'll have to see because it is 13 years. It's a long time, man. It's a long time.
Juan.
10 seasons.
Remember, in Philly was playing. If they beat them in Philly with a third-string, undrafted quarterback, it would be a major achievement.
Yeah, it would be. I'll tell you one thing. If the Giants somehow, some way pull off the Christmas miracle at the Link, that will put the Eagles in a total tailspin. They won't know which way is up if the Giants were to win. That may actually they may really fall creep into the playoffs and they're out kind of thing.
Oh boy, yeah. That would be. Oh, I can't even compare what that would be like.
Yeah,
I'll relate to another game of that kind of magnitude of losing to a team you have no business losing to.
Yeah,
I can't even think of maybe Villanova beating Georgetown in the NCAA championship. There's something that was like they had no business winning that game. I know I'm jumping here. I'm jumping over.
Well, we'll see, Mike. We'll see. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of tweets on Monday night if that were to happen. But, man, I can't see it. We'll get to a score at the end. Juan's still saying, I think Juan fell off his chair. And Juan, thanks for stopping in tonight. I don't see how you can compare Super Bowl to a regular season game.
That's what I said, Juan. You're going to be crazy. I know it's a Super Bowl, Juan, but you got to. I'm talking about how they're so unevenly mismatched. The Giants in that Super Bowl were not that much They weren't. If you looked at the talent they had on that team, they really weren't.
Yeah, I will say this, Mike. At the end of the Patriots run that year, that you saw them start to play a few close games at the end in the playoffs. Like they weren't beating teams by 20 points anymore. The games were pretty tight coming down to the end. And people were saying they kind of peaked and they were starting to come back down to earth. So I'll give you hey, 10 seasons is a long time, and you're talking about one team dominance over 10 years, 10 seasons in one spot going to the link. Yeah. No.
Five last years in Eli's career, he couldn't beat them in Philly.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it, Eli. Right?
We just can't, and we could barely win at home. I mean, we won a couple years ago with Hurts when he threw a bad interception into the first half, but that was like a tight game too. And Devontae Smith dropped the ball in the end zone, but we don't beat him at home either. So that was a lucky win.
That's right.
I think it was but yeah, I know. I hear you, Juan. All right, so Mike, going into this game, I mean, we could say turnovers is always the big factor, but you got to throw turnovers out the window. Giants are a +6 and they don't win. So I think the Giants, look at that Washington game. They had 5 turnovers or 6 turnovers and they barely won. Washington had the ball the last drive and could have won it if it wasn't for another interception. How many turnovers, Mike, did the Giants have to be plus on to win this game? I think they have to be +4 to win this game.
That's on the low end. They were weren't they +6 against the Washington?
Yeah, they were.
And they only won by how many points?
Would they win by 8? 8? I'm hoping they've improved since then.
Yeah, they pulled away.
With the lead.
Listen,
yeah.
The Giants got a minimum 4, and they got to hope that guys don't have bad games. They got to hope that A.J. Brown has a few drops, and so does Smith. And oh my gosh, everything has to go their favor for them to win this game. Everything.
Yeah. What do you think's worse, Mike? The run blocking or pass blocking?
Well, overall, it's been there.
Overall,
it's been the pass blocking.
Yeah, me too. Especially with the stunts and these twists. It seems like they look at it like they don't know what's going on. We were talking about this with Will Hernandez. Will Hernandez would run block and do a decent job. But even when we had that offensive line, Will Hernandez, that was the big thing. Giants can't handle the stunts. It seems to be an ongoing problem for 5, 6, 7 years. I think, and that's going to lead us to our next topic. Will be the offensive line coach, and we'll talk about that. But Mike, yeah, I agree with you. I think the pass blocking definitely has been a bigger issue than the run blocking. All right, so before we head back and give some scores, let's talk about the offensive line coach in 2024, Mike. Let me throw a couple names out to everybody that may interest you. So Bill Callahan is a name that was thrown around even when Jason Garrett was here as the coordinator. Callahan was with Garrett in Dallas. Supposedly didn't have a good relationship. However, Callahan also was the offensive line coach and assistant head coach with the Jets in 2008 with Mangini, and Brian Dable was the quarterback's coach. So you always look for that connected dots relationship. So they have a relationship, Callahan and Dable. The problem is Callahan's also the offensive line coach in Cleveland and has a contract. However, if Dable has a good relationship and he was willing to move and you throw a lot of money at Callahan, maybe you make him an assistant head coach. You'd have to be an advancement to grab somebody. It can't be a lateral move because the NFL doesn't allow that. But if it was a move like that, it could be interesting. Now, I'm just throwing a name out there. I don't know if these guys are still friends or they even talk, Dable and Callahan. But Callahan has always been noted and revered as one of the top offensive line coaches in the NFL for over 35 years, going back to when he was with the coach of the Raiders. Mike Munchak, a lot of people mention his name. He's out of the NFL. I'm not sure is his situation. Does he want to coach? But another name, money talks. But I'll throw one more at you, which I think could be an interesting name. The assistant offensive line coach with the Eagles. His name is Roy Estevan. He's the assistant line coach under Stoutland. He's been there since 2019 when Doug Peterson was the head coach. He's coached for over 35 years with college and NFL. Actually came to the NFL in like 2019. Was mostly with college, offensive side of the ball, offensive line coach, coordinator. But Brandon Brown's the assistant GM with the Giants. There's a connection there. And you have a guy like Istvan who's with the Eagles, and you would think Stoutland would want his guy, which is Istvan, coaching with them, and he's happy with them. Obviously, he's been there since 2019. So if there's a guy to look to, an up-and-comer, which he's an assistant O-line coach and would be an advancement for him to come to the Giants and be an O-line coach, be the head offensive line coach, maybe that's a name to keep an eye on as we go into the offseason. Because it seems like no matter what the Eagles do over there, no matter who they plug in their offensive line, overall, they have their bad games, but overall, they've been consistent with a very good offensive line over the years. So maybe a guy like that could be a possibility. But once again, I'm just throwing names out there and trying to connect the dots a bit.
You're right. I mean, look what they did. They draft Dickerson, and he's an All-Pro.
Yeah.
Right. 2018,
yep.
I think that was his draft. He's All-Pro
right.
last year. They drafted a kid out of Nebraska who's a center, Jurgens.
Yeah, right.
Move him to guard, and he's a starter. And he's doing a good job for them.
That's it.
The Giants, these guys can't figure out stunts. They're having a hard time developing.
Yeah.
And I think Craig, our colleague, made a point on Twitter mentioned a few guys and mentioned our linemen haven't done much other than Thomas, and common denominator is the offensive lines coach. So that could be a problem.
Yeah, Juan and Cole make a point. Feliciano with the Niners, he's improved since he left the Giants. Tyree Phillips, who left for a couple months, improved under. Yeah,
they moved him to guard.
Feliciano. Yeah, right. And Istvan and Stoutland did a great job with Phillips. He came back and is playing better than he did when he left. And so it comes down to coaching. Here's a comment Jack Conklin, who's a very good Pro Bowler offensive lineman, said about Bill Callahan last year. And this goes along the lines of what everybody's saying here in the chat about coaching. I'm going to quote him, Jack Conklin. They asked him about how is it, with Callahan being the offensive line coach with the Browns. It's been awesome to have Bill. Right tackle Jack Conklin said, being able to come here and have him as a teacher, and that has been the problem. We need a teacher at offensive line. It seems like every offensive line coach we had, it seems like, they come with some sort of a resume, but are they teaching? We don't see these guys getting better. And he says, it's been great to have Bill as a teacher. It made my game take it to the next level. We need our offensive line and take it to the next level. Even if you're average, make it to the best of your ability to the next level. You could be total crap, but at least you'll be half the crap, right? Maybe what do we say? Total crap? Maybe you're not total crap. You could be half the crap with a good offensive line coach. He's been around so long. He's such a craftsman, and how he breaks everything down. Literally, I can say every day there's something I pick up from him. So that comes from Jack Conklin about Bill Callahan, offensive line coach for a number of years in the NFL, who comes with a resume. Not saying he could end up with the Giants and they'd have to work stuff out. But that's the type of guy we need, a teacher. Not just a rah-rah guy to come in here. And that's kind of what you heard about Bobby Johnson. He gets along with the offensive line. He's got a great personality. He's fiery. He's a rah-rah guy. But is he a teacher? And that seems to be the issue we've had. We need a guy that can come here and teach these guys and raise them to the next level. Because by all accounts, Mike, Andrew Thomas is our best lineman, but I'm not giving credit to our offensive line coach. He was a top pick. We saw Andrew Thomas grow on his own going through offensive line coaches. That was all on him, in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, we haven't seen Evan Neal do anything with coaching so far.
No, we haven't. And that's high praise coming from a guy who wasn't a rookie, Conklin. He's been around. So when you get that kind of praise, that's something you got to take notice.
Yeah. Yeah, Darius, good call. Pat Flaherty, yeah, I think he's helping somebody out now. He came back into the NFL. I know, yeah, he did wonders with the Giants' offensive line for a number of years.
Why is he not here? Why is he not with the Giants? He's in the
yeah.
in the NFL?
He retired and then went back. I thought to Penn State when Bill O'Brien went back to college and was helping Bill O'Brien back. But he went. But I believe he did go back to the NFL. But I'm not sure if he's the head offensive line coach where he is. If he's playing that much of a role, or he's almost like a consultant. But I believe he is back, doing something with the team. But yeah, Darius. No, you're right. You're right too. Check this out, Mike. Still drafting the right talent will help you. Absolutely. Darius, that's the foundation, right? Drafting the right guys and then allowing your coaches to build on that foundation and let these guys reach their ceiling. Because that's the one thing we don't see with this Giants coaching staff on the offensive line of the ball, on the offensive line, is reaching their ceiling.
All right, let me just comment on that one. I understand where Darius is coming from. We are only into the second year of Shane's drafting. I mean, who's to say that Izudu isn't the right guy if he's not getting the proper coaching? Who's to say he's not the right guy? And even Neil, I know he's struggled. I know he's had moments.
But in 2 years, Mike, with Bobby Johnson, you haven't seen Izudu being elevated. Now I know he got hurt again.
That's my
but,
point.
Yeah.
Maybe it is the coaching that's keeping these kids from taking that next step up.
Right.
They're a third round pick in my mind, especially a lineman, should be able to develop quicker than a skill position player. I think, like a corner or a quarterback, because it's more about grit and
and technique and honing your skills with technique, recognizing pre-snap reads. But yeah, you would think at the NFL level, and I don't think the college game is doing any favors for these guys coming into the NFL because it seems like these guys are transitioning a lot longer. It takes them to reach their ceiling. It seems like guys, it takes time. I think, especially at the tackle position, right? The guards, I feel like the guards come in and they do well. I feel like the tackle, there's a little bit of a growing curve for the tackles because the speed of the game on the edge. These guys just come off the edge so fast and are just not used to that.
Now, did you see that
as much?
Did you see that tweet they have of Bobby Johnson talking about that moving Evan Neal to guard, the game is faster because there's less space, so he's got to be quicker?
Who said that?
Bobby Johnson.
Oh, did I missed that? He said that?
Yeah, if anybody's on here, if you saw it too, he was talking about, and I forgot who he was quoting.
Okay.
That inside the interior line, it moves much faster than it would on the outside. So, because they were talking about moving Evan Neal to guard.
Well, they asked them that. Yeah. Well, okay. The Giants weren't thinking of doing that, but the media and all of us are asking. But I don't understand that either because it's been common knowledge that if you're a tackle coming into the NFL and you can't cut it at tackle, we've seen it with Robert Gallery. We've seen it with a lot of players. They get moved to guard because you're playing in a box. You got the center, you got the tackle next to you, you got help. So that doesn't quite make sense. Maybe he's protecting Evan Neal and just making, I would say excuses, but, pleading his case. But what I'd like to see, Mike, whoever the offensive line coach they bring, and everybody that's listening, let the offensive line coach make the decision on what he feels. I as much as I want Dable and Kafka, that's not their specialty. Let the offensive line coach that gets hired, that's what he does, give his evaluation, watching the tape, and then going into the offseason, make an evaluation and say, hey, can we work with Evan Neal? Is he going to be the guy at right tackle, or are you not comfortable with him, and he's totally going to be too much work and we're going to have to roll with somebody else at the tackle spot, especially before the draft. Like, we need to know before free agency and draft from the offensive line coach and from the evaluation, is this somebody that we're really going to, see next year? And I honestly, Mike, I think we're going to see Evan Neal at right tackle next year. I do. They're going to give him more time. I think another, it's only his first year. So I do think we'll see him again at tackle. Second year. Right. We'll see him. Right.
Yeah.
For a second year.
I hear you, and I think the free agency will dictate what their intentions are. And someone made a comment in here about free agents, they should get an offensive lineman. I agree.
Yeah.
You can't expect to just draft a tackle or a guard and plug him in and think he's going to be an all-pro, because sometimes it doesn't work that way. These guys need to develop. So there are some guys out there. Chris, you put out a really good list on Twitter on linemen that are going to be available in free agency. And I saw a couple of them I like.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I had to look more at the money, and see what they're looking at, what they might get. But there are some guys on there I like, and hopefully, the Giants will get a lineman. Especially for me. I want to
Yep.
see, interior lineman. I want to see a guard. I
I
do.
think that's what we're gonna get to. Hey, Tudo, thanks for stopping by. We were worried about you. I know it took you.
Yeah,
You got here at the show, so thanks, Tudo. Yeah, the mic's fixed. So thank you to you and Cold for giving me some cheap shots. That was good. That made me speed up the process of making sure we could fix this thing. I want you guys to hear my annoying commentary or voice. But thanks, Tudo. Darius says right here, this time around, I think getting a free agent offensive lineman will help expedite the process towards getting us back towards contention. 100%. I can't bear to see this team regress further and further anymore. Neither can we. So, Mike, before we head out, we got a few minutes. Going into free agency, I know we got a lot of time for that. My feeling is I want to see him get or draft a guard second round or so, and then go after a solid veteran. Is that kind of what you're thinking on the interior line?
yeah, absolutely. That would be my game plan. Get a veteran lineman, and then also draft a lineman in the draft. Absolutely.
Yeah. And once again, Darius, Neal has talent. I don't want it to go to waste. No, neither do I. And he's a first round pick, so we got 3 more years with him, 3 more seasons. So let's get a proper evaluation of a teacher, an offensive line coach that's a teacher. The rah rah stuff is great. The motivation's great, but we need a guy that's going to come in there and teach you. It's like rec baseball when you're a kid, Mike. Rec baseball, you get the dads that, help out. Obviously, we all know that, help coach your kids. And the rah-rah guys are great. But even though you're playing rec baseball in first grade, you want to be taught the right things to do, right? When to hit the cutoff man, when to throw the second. We need that kind of coach that's not just a rah-rah, but teach these guys. Don't take it for granted that just because they're in the NFL, they know what they're doing. These guys need to be coached up. And it's evident. It's more evident than ever. We need that. The Giants need that.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Chris. I see that in my profession. I see wannabes who don't know anything about the golf swing.
Okay.
Trying to,
Oh, there you go.
yeah, trying to teach young kids how to swing a golf club, and it's head scratchers a lot of times. So
So you'd consider yourself a teacher as well, right, Mike?
I better be. I've been in it for 5 years. Yeah,
That's great.
absolutely.
Oh,
So
Tudo, I got to put this up here. Chris R., we're under the impression you broke your mic on purpose so we couldn't hear you. Your opinions, yeah, yeah, sometimes, yeah, maybe. Thanks,
yes,
Tudo.
is that a picture of Tudo? Is that
There's a picture of him, and he's got the
Tudo
biceps going. I can't blow it up here, but we need Tudo, man. I love the, yeah,
coming
you
out?
look. I'll tell you what, Tudo, maybe you could be the offensive line coach. Maybe you could be on the offensive line. Maybe we could put you at guard. Think it might work. But all right, Mike. So we're wrapping things up. We got a couple minutes. What else you want to touch upon before we head out? Let's do scores, Mike. What? Give me your prediction. I have a feeling it's not going to be pretty, but go ahead. What is it?
Okay, I don't think it's going to be pretty. I hope I'm wrong because hey, I was wrong last week, right? I thought Giants had a chance last week. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I think the Eagles are going to have their ears pulled back the whole game. They are going to make a statement to say they are back, and they're going to use the Giants as an example. And I think it's going to be. I think whether it's late in the game, I think they're going to run the score up on the Giants. I think they're going to try to embarrass the Giants to the point where there's no question that they are back, and they're the team to beat in the NFC East or in the NFC Conference.
Mike, I was thinking the reason why they had this game in Philly on Christmas is because all those Philly fans are on the naughty list. They don't get gifts anyway. So Christmas morning to them is no big deal. They don't, they should be getting all coal. So for them to go to the link on Christmas Day is no big deal. Christmas, it's not like it is for the rest of the normal fans out there. They actually treat people with some sort of respect and dignity. Those fans there, it's just like a normal morning and Christmas morning for those that celebrate. So,
yeah, it's going to be pretty. And I hope I'm wrong, guys. I hope DeVito. I said DeVito's going to get hurt here. He's going to get hit hard. Someone's going to want to hit him. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he plays the whole game. No
right.
injury, but I have a bad feeling here. I really do. I have a bad feeling. So
Darius, this is great. I can't do a score prediction, but if Boston Scott scores a TD, it's over for us. Well, you know, Darius, he's definitely good for one score. Giant killer, doesn't do much anytime else. Just wheel him out, roll him out against the Giants, and you know it's a couple touchdowns.
yeah,
You
amazing.
nailed it, nailed it.
That's amazing how that guy just owns the Giants.
It really is, man. Oh man, it's almost like years ago with Brian Mitchell, right? With Brian Mitchell, Westbrook. Oh God, the list goes on with these Eagle killers. But so I'm sorry, Mike. What was the final score?
Oh, you want me? Yeah, all right.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, Mike. Give me a final score.
Okay, I think, I think the Eagles are gonna. They might put up 40 points. 40 to. Boy, they only scored 6 points. I can't see them scoring points against the Eagles.
They're angry.
Oh my God, I can't see them scoring points. Maybe 6 points, 40 to 6, something like that.
Okay.
Maybe.
Wouldn't
See it.
shock me. Nothing shocks me against the Eagles. We've seen it all. We've seen last second field goals from 60 yards kill us. We've seen blowouts. Nothing should fumbles, returns, punt returns. It's everything and anything happens. So nothing would surprise. I'm gonna say, Mike, along your lines. I'm maybe not 40, but I'm gonna say 31-10 Eagles.
Okay,
Unfortunately.
wow, Giants is going to score 10 points. Okay.
Well, they get lucky. They're playing a little prevent at some point late in the game, and they just come down the field and they happen to score. But yeah,
You see, like when the Giants played Dallas, Dallas was
hmm
blowing them out, and then kind of Dallas kind of relaxed, and the Giants came
right.
back on some points. I
Yep.
don't think the Eagles are going to relax. I think they're going to be that bully, smacking the Giants, not letting them off the
Yep.
pavement. They're not going to let up.
Yeah. Hey, and Miz is right on the lines. Thanks for stopping in, Miz. Miz has 34-10, so right along the same lines. So I
Okay.
think we're all in the same agreement that it's going to be some sort of a blowout or game's going to get out of hand at some point.
Yeah. Well,
All right,
I know
Mike.
it's
Yeah,
Christmas, right? So you do what you want. I'm not watching the game. I don't think I'm going to watch the game.
you're not going to watch the game at all.
I don't think so.
Wow.
It's going to be hard, but
Uh huh. I know.
I don't want to get annoyed on Christmas Day.
Me neither, Mike. That's why I'm going to have it on my phone. I'll have some family over. I don't need comments with it on the TV. I'm just going to have it on my phone, and I'm going to deal with it myself.
I can see at the dinner table with the phone
Oh, I will.
looking, everything going, farm.
Yeah, it'll be right on the table on the little holder. Yeah, absolutely. But it's a 4:30 game, so maybe that'll be more or less like dessert time. Maybe that'll help. Thank God it's not like at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock. At least it gets us some, you know, get settled in with family or whatever at home. But all right, Mike. Anything else before we put a
No,
bow on it, as they say?
I just want to
No,
wish everybody happy holidays.
absolutely.
Have
Yeah.
a safe one too, by the way, guys. So be careful out there driving.
Yeah, for sure. Happy holidays, everybody. No matter what holiday you celebrate, Merry Christmas.
Yep.
So next Tuesday will be the NY Giants rush because of the Monday game. So you have Craig, Alex, me, Spartan, or the Truth, depending on what the schedule is. But have a yeah, we don't know till last minute. But once again, we thank you for your support. Thank you for always jumping in on the show. Your comments are well, you know. We well taken. We appreciate everybody's opinions, and we have a great time with you all. So have a great weekend, rest of your week. Enjoy the holiday. Enjoy a few days off if you have it. Be safe. Go Giants. Maybe we have a miracle, a holiday miracle, Christmas miracle at the link. Who knows what can happen, right? But we'll see what happens. All right, everybody. We'll catch you next week. Take care.
Take care, guys.